Yes, guys. Hello and welcome back to the Once You're In podcast. This is episode number 73. You'll have seen on the title of the video, or you'll see the man's face. He's a man now because he's jumped to the dark side. He's not a boy anymore, and he's start calling himself Georgie Man instead of Georgie Boy. So we've got Mr. George Osborne on the pod today. I feel like a lot of people will know George, but for people who don't, George, please give us an introduction into yourself.
I just want to say, first of all, boys, it's a pleasure to be on the podcast. I am, you could say, a secret listener because I don't. Apparently, according to the last one, I don't post it on the
Mate, you need to
on the
start
socials.
sharing.
We
I
called you
definitely
out.
will.
Following, mate. You need to sort us out.
George, give us clout. What the
Yeah,
fuck, bro?
I will. Honestly, I will. I just want to say thank you, first of all, for inviting me on because I do enjoy it. I'm a little bit upset now because I'm thinking I'm on an episode, and you're going to upload an episode, and I haven't got one
mate,
to.
you're
Listen,
definitely listening to this back.
I never listen to podcasts that I'm on. Never. I just can't seem to listen to myself because
I know. I can't stand my own voice.
But me, when people ask me who I am, I guess my full-time job is online personal training, if you want to call it that. My part-time job is a YouTuber, and a full-time stud as well to go with it. So yeah, that's me summed up really. I always hate answering those sort of questions because I never know how to really answer it.
I feel like a lot of people will know who you are anyway. Like I first started following you from the 2019 prep. Firstly through YouTube, to be fair, and then I realized you had like some viral videos before that. I guess like student diets on a budget and stuff like that. And I'd never really seen those, mate. I apologize, I haven't watched those. I will have to go back and watch them. But no, I first started following you from that prep. And to be fair, like I think because I was following you and like AJ, obviously AJ didn't compete that year, but even like Jack Richardson and stuff, like that was one of the reasons why I was like, right, I think when I prep, like I want to get coached by AJ because I'd seen like from your videos and even just like through social media, like how your relationship was with him and how like you were coached by him and stuff. So yeah, that was one of the reasons why I was like, tell you what, I think I'm going to be coached by AJ. But yeah, I used to like those videos, mate. I'll be honest, I haven't kept up with your videos as much now because I can't watch them anymore because you're on gear. So I just can't relate. Can't relate anymore, mate.
George, we've already got. I'm guessing the next like YouTube video is going to be doing a podcast on steroids or something like that. Is that what this one's going to be?
I've been proper milking it, guy. It's been working, you know. It's been working. As much as I sometimes think, oh, you know what, I could put something else here. I just think, right, put that in the title. It's guaranteed to get some sort of views. And as much as I think sometimes from even my content, people think I'm glamorizing steroids a little bit in the sense that steroids are good, this and that. It's just at the end of the day, like if someone's going to click on the video, with my content, I'm here to make money as well, realistically. And when you do get up to the sort of maybe the level that I'm at sort of, okay, there is opportunity to make some money in the YouTube sort of industry. Not crazy amounts, but there is decent amounts. And I'm thinking, well, if it's working and I'm getting more money from it, so I don't give a shit what people say. But yeah, no, I must admit, I do milk it a shit ton.
Yeah, but I don't think you're doing anything wrong by that. It's not like you're like I don't think it comes across that you're trying to promote it. Like you're just like you say, it's clickbait to an extent, but it's not like the video is then nothing about steroids. Like I'm sure you probably speak about it a little bit. Like so yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that.
And I feel like we said on one of the podcasts, I don't know, or maybe me and Finn said in person, you'd be the first person to say, I'm milking it. If you were completely unaware and you were just like promoting it constantly and saying it in every title, I'd be like, right, come on, mate, you're being a bit of a gimp. I know you'll be laughing, saying like, and probably writing half the captions thinking, fucking hell, right. I'm only mentioning this because it's what people are interested in. And it's like, if you think about it, coming out of a prep, most people really notice that, like, let's say coming out of a prep, they go from having high social media engagement to then you get into an off season and it's like starts to dwindle down. And in a sense, you've kind of probably utilized the momentum from the prep and then also continued that into the off season. So basically, anybody who competes naturally, just jump on gear and then just milk it, and then people will listen and people will follow along. So Finn, that's what you need to do for next year, mate.
Already planned out, mate.
Yeah. I mean, it's sometimes hard in your off seasons when you start just training footage and there's not much to look in regards to the physique because it isn't changing. So I know exactly what I'm doing. 100%, I know what I'm doing. I even write down on my notes titles of the video and I just change around the words sometimes. I've got a whole list of like how have this one line and make it involve anabolic steroids of some sort. So I know full well what I'm doing. But no, on that note, I think I haven't seen many people on YouTube who have documented their transition from natural and to enhanced. Obviously, you've got Josh Bridgman, who's done a very good job at doing that. But I wanted to add a little bit more in terms of I'm a bit of a vlogger. I like to vlog. I just don't like the 30-minute YouTube videos of me training. I've been there. I kind of went down the route with like the AJ Morris, the Cuba when I was at Ultraflex, of just doing training content. And it was like a 30-minute video of me training. And I sit there myself and I think I can't watch someone train for 30 minutes unless it's like before I go to the gym. I can't sit down and just watch someone train. It just bores the shit out of me. So I got more into the vlogging side of things. And I think I've just added that unique side of it where I can show me pinning my gear, show me this and that, and all how much my first cycle cost, all this sort of stuff that not many people talk about. And if I can add a little bit of personality to it, then by all means.
No, it makes sense. And to be fair, like it makes sense from a like I said, social media engagement standpoint. I didn't find you on Instagram. It was similar, like 2019. I don't think I ever really saw anything on Instagram. It was always YouTube. And I feel like you've probably got quite a good little sweet spot when it comes to how YouTube pushes content out. Because admittedly, I haven't watched probably a video until the last maybe 3 or 4 where you've been kind of on a streak with PEDs, this, PEDs, that, gear, this, and it starts to pop up. And I rarely ever watch any fitness.
That's all you search for, mate. How to take PEDs, PED advice on YouTube.
How to transition. It's actually how to transition.
What are
I'm
PEDs? That's what
I'm currently natty. I'm thinking about taking the next step. That's what it is.
Hey, that's what you should have done. I said to you that you should have like documented starting, but you started when you were 14 and you pretend that it was when you were 19.
Yeah, I was a fake natty for like 7 years. So just ruined it. Just ruined it.
Reece, what age did you what age did you start now?
20, what was I last year? 21, 22? 22.
Do you think you should have started later? Because I'm 25. Do you think you started at the right time, or do you think you should have maybe started even earlier or later?
Well, I had like 8 years worth of training experience at that point. I started training when I was really young, so 13. Granted, first couple of years when you're training, it's not like when you're 13, 14, you're not going to be able to take sets all the way there. My adherence and everything probably wasn't as good as it could have been. But I probably started like properly training like first year of uni when I went to Leeds. Me and Finn trained for like a year or so prior to that point. And that was when you actually, I got into like progressive overload tracking lifts, let's say making sure food's on point. And it was always a case where like my goals were never to be, I've probably explained this on previous podcasts. So some secret listener you are, mate, because I've definitely answered this before, for fuck's sake. But in all seriousness, when it comes to, let's say, my own goals, it was always going to be the highest level that I could compete at. And then also like my own personal goals when it comes to like natural men's physique, I personally am not a massive fan of the look. I think at the top level, it's really good. But I think like to get to the top level, it takes a lot of time. And it was more so a sense where I probably had dieted multiple times. I was stupidly lean in my teens. So I'd already kind of got to the point where like, mate, if I shaved off 2 or 3 kilos from when I was 18 or 19, I could have stepped on stage most likely all through the summer. I felt horrendous. I didn't have much muscle mass, but I was peeled. And I was like, right, well, if I'm going to prep, I want to be testing myself at the top level. And so it was where I was like 16 weeks out from the first show last year. So July, June time. I'd know exact dates if I was to look at my logs, but it was around like the middle around the middle of last year. And to be fair, I'm not displeased in the sense of I probably thought it was quite a good time. Like I had a good enough experience. I was always that kind of guy to think like, well, I'm going to do it, but I want to make sure that everything's in a good spot. And I also wanted to make sure from like a financial standpoint, I was, let's say, earning money through what I was doing, let's say coaching wise. I was in a position where I just graduated from uni. So I was like, right, well, this is pretty much what I'm setting my sights upon. And it kind of made sense. In hindsight, could I have started earlier and been in a better position? Maybe so. But then would I missed out on the key variables and key basics that you set up? When you're natural, it's literally training, food, recovery. That's it. And I feel like when you throw in an extra sort of, let's say, an extra variable on top, the likelihood, mate, you probably know people who they'll take PEDs really, really early and you'll ask them about their training or you look at their execution and you'll be like, what the fuck? How have you got away with this? But you can get away with it when you're taking some gear on the side and it almost masks the shortcomings of the other variables that you're not getting control of. So yeah, it's one of those, like from a goal standpoint, I'd probably be better now. then I would have been, so I might have potentially have been able to go for a pro card last year instead of next year, or this year instead of next year. But at the same time, would I be any better from like an adherence standpoint, from like in my own application standpoint? Probably not. So I'm pretty happy with my decision. But again, only time will tell. We'll see.
Yeah.
Could step on stage next year and be absolutely fucking shit and be like, oh fucking hell, this is not for me. But I doubt it.
So you started when you was in a deficit.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Admittedly, if I wasn't competing, an ideal sense, you'd want to get leaner and then you'd want to utilize your ability to work PEDs up with food. I can completely understand that, but it was more so because I wanted to compete in the untested, like say, federations, and I wanted to be at an even playing field with the people that I'd be competing against.
Yeah, interesting. Because I've never thought about doing it going into a deficit, and this is not taken away from what you've done because you've made amazing progress. But I think I'd much rather utilize that going into a surplus than going into a deficit and into a prep. But obviously,
that's what I said, didn't I? When you were first saying like, this is what I'm going to do, I was like, it doesn't really make that much sense. But then when you were like, yeah, but I'm not asked about competing naturally, I was like, well, then it kind of does make sense because the only reason that you wouldn't is like, right, get a year under your belt naturally and then, utilize the post-show period to do it. But you were like, yeah, but I don't want to compete naturally because you know that Kez would beat you. Yeah, Joven would beat you. We said we are going to get Joven on. Joven would fucking beat you. Joven would beat you now. So yeah, we might as well cover it now, George. Obviously, we won't go into it too much because like people can go onto your YouTube and your Instagram because obviously you cover like the transition from being natural to now being enhanced. But feel free to like give us a bit of a rundown in terms of like just basics of why you chose that route. And obviously we kind of know, but people might not know. And how long you were thinking about it, and also like how you felt, because obviously you've been through a prep and a post-show phase where you've obviously been natural in 2019. So how does this compare from that time?
So I was actually originally meant to start after 2019 in the new year, but we went into lockdown and I was thinking, I can't justify training at my garage and taking steroids. So I stayed natural and said, right, let's kind of do a redemption sort of series for YouTube, competing in 2022 again, naturally. So I've wanted to do it for a very long time. And I'm always very inspired by assisted athletes. Like, I'll be totally honest with you, I don't follow many natural bodybuilders. A handful of people. As much as I love natural bodybuilding, I love the conditioning that you bring, the dedication, the longer preps. I don't aspire to be natural. I don't aspire to look natural. The time and effort I put into this to look natural it just isn't for me. And at some point I was going to do it, and I've always been very like mindful in the sense that I didn't want to start when I was too young. I thought, right, 25, had 7 years of training underneath my belt. The best time is to do it when I finish this season. So, and as well as that, I'm more that sort of person that I don't want to look back on my life and think, what if, I've always been someone who likes to take a bit of a risk. Yeah, obviously I can appreciate that, this may affect me long-term further down the line, but I'd much rather live a fulfilled life now, being younger than being 80. Like, long story short, I went and visited my nan earlier this year, and she was in a care home for the past like 2-3 years. And I went there every single time. I sat there and think, fuck this, because realistically, all that's happening is she's just waiting to die. And I would much rather, and this my dad told me, he's like, go out and live your life, enjoy it. And I thought, like, I just sat there and think, well, the best time to do it is this year then, because I've been umming and ahhing about it in my head to do it. So fuck it, life is too short for me to worry about little things. Yeah, obviously there might be issues further down the line, but it is what it is. I've chosen that sort of risk element, and if I can live a fulfilled life now, then so be it. I'm not too bothered about it. So yeah, started 6 weeks ago, working with Cal, the pro coach. Originally I was working with AJ and Cal. So AJ was doing the training and nutrition, and Cal was doing the PEDs and all the supplements that come with it. And I just kind of found, after, if I'm going all in with this, then don't get me wrong, like, I love AJ to pieces. He's one of my closest friends, and he's, I've got a lot of respect for him, but it was just, I just needed one person to tell me what to do, because it was just like back and forth. Cal would tell me something, AJ would tell me something. I'm thinking, what do I do here? So I think, right, if I'm going in the deep end. So Cal's fully taken over everything now. It's been amazing. At first I was a little bit apprehensive because I was like, Cal's so fucking busy. Like he's here, there, everywhere. He's traveling. He's not going to reply to me. He don't give a fuck about me when he's got some of the best athletes in the country or in the world underneath him at the moment. But he's been amazing. Like I cannot fault him one bit. He replies ASAP to me. Always goes above and beyond. He treats me like everyone else. And it's been good. It's been great. Like I've only been running 150 tests per week, 25 Provara on each day. Got my blood work done the other week, came back 39 animals, something like that. Just gave it to Cal. I was like, cool, let's continue doing this for another 4 to 8 weeks. And then if we need to up it, we'll up it. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Sorry, it's long-winded, but
no, it's good, man. So obviously compared to like 2019, obviously it's a bit different for you because you definitely over dieted, didn't you? And probably off your own accord, but you definitely over dieted. Like you were absolutely peeled, but it will have taken you longer to recover than maybe let's say somebody who did a quote unquote more normal prep and maybe didn't get as lean and didn't stay as lean for as long. So I think I've heard you say before felt like you almost took like a year before you felt like kind of almost back to normal again. So
yeah, it took me about 6 months to recover from that prep itself, from just being in the gutters for too long and doing too much cardio and losing too much muscle. I didn't do any blood work because I knew it was going to be shit, but I couldn't imagine what it would have been at the time. And then obviously this time round, obviously was a much better prep. Wasn't nowhere near. I don't know. I was fucked by the end of it, but nowhere near as fucked as before. Probably took me about 2 weeks to feel the normal again. So it just goes to show how powerful, obviously, food, body weight, doing things right, and also the drugs as well. They do play a massive part in terms of how you feel quite quickly. So yeah, it's quite interesting. That I just woke up one day, I was like, I feel totally normal. Like felt like I didn't feel like I competed 2 weeks ago. It was kind of like that feeling. It's like
how did you feel, Reece? Because obviously you don't have a comparison, but like because part of that could be psychological for George comparing it and going, fucking hell, I feel so much better. Whereas for you obviously only know like the one way, the one version.
Yeah, I'd say for me, it really wasn't that. It wasn't that noticeable in the sense of there wasn't just a day where I was like, oh my God, I feel normal again. I felt pretty battered and run down, but I think it was more so a sense where, like, I remember saying to you, Finn, I worked my food back up, like I reversed into the finals and I felt pretty good heading into that show. The first show I felt horrendous, like I was awful. But then the last show I felt pretty good and I could continue at that sort of set point. But like my endurance, my training was just pretty meh. And I noticed it probably took me, I didn't deload after I finished prep. It was like 6 weeks.
You were ill as well, weren't you, straight after?
Yeah. Yeah, and I got ill literally like 10 days afterwards. But I didn't really notice, like I remember even like a month or so afterwards, I was like, Jesus Christ, like just let's say adding 5 kilos, 10 kilos a week on most movements, which occurs when food gets higher and body fat gets higher. But I remember thinking to myself, like, still feel pretty meh. Like I didn't feel like that good in the gym till probably like December into like Jan. So that was probably a good 8 to 12 weeks, probably.
Yeah, 2-3 months.
Yeah, but so I didn't notice like how George said after 2 weeks he was like, feel fucking wicked, feel good. But then also that could be psychological, maybe on my end, maybe on George's end. And then also, like I said, George for his like 2019 prep was peeled for a very, very long time. Like my show season last year was 4 weeks. So it was a little bit different in the sense. So if you're, let's say, in that state for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, it's only going to, if I was in that position that I was for the first show for 8 weeks, 12 weeks, Jesus Christ, it would take me even longer, I'd imagine. So yeah.
In 2019 I dieted for 37 weeks and this time round was 31 weeks. I'd say I started to feel horrendous probably the last 8 weeks of this prep. So for the first like 25 weeks, 6 months, I was like, this is easy, because I didn't do one single minute of cardio at that point. I was still eating just under 3,000 calories. And I was like, this is a walk in the park. When's it going to get hard almost? But then when you do get to that sort of stage condition and then the draggy sort of feels like you've got 20 kilos strapped to your ankles, dragging your feet around, that started to kick in, and getting up the stairs and looking upstairs, thinking, I'm gonna fucking walk up there. That started to kick in. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely quite interesting how things have changed quite quickly. But then I did obviously my blood test before I went on cycle, and that was when I was 2 weeks out from my final. That was at the Arnold's, so I think that might have been like, yeah, it was 2 weeks out or 1 week out from my final show, I believe. And that was I was in the absolute gutters, and that's when my blood work came back, and Chris, who owns the blood lab, is like, I have no idea how you're functioning right now. And I
They
mean,
do say that though. They say
Yeah.
that to anybody who's
I
got
feel
lower
like
test.
they always over exaggerate. The amount of clients that I've had that have said, like, honestly, like, I bet your grandma's got higher tests than you. It's like, that's not helpful. Like, why are you telling him that? Like,
You're gonna feel worse.
it feels
Yeah,
shit enough as it is, and then you tell him that, and he's like, oh yeah, cheers.
So George,
Yeah.
important question, mate. What was your test? Was it like what 2, 3, 4 nanomole? Wasn't it?
It was free nanomoles.
Okay, so 3 nanomole, bro.
Mate, that's
How
3
many-
too
how
high.
many-
Fucking hell,
yeah,
you were fine.
Yeah, how many? We got to ask, bro. Did your dick work at all? I'm guessing it didn't.
No. That was the last thing I thought about.
Do you know what it is though? I don't think it's that. Well, this is in my
It's not.
experience.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that your dick doesn't work. I think it's that you just have so low energy that you cannot think of anything worse than doing that. I don't think it's that your dick, like, I feel like my dick would still work, but my mind wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like the signals towards it just don't happen.
It's kind of like you question in your head, would I prefer, it's as bad as this sounds, it's like, can I be bothered to waste energy, not waste energy,
No chance. No,
energy.
it is wasted energy.
It's like that's the thoughts I had.
Yeah, it is.
Sometimes you've got to force yourself. And sometimes you're like, I'd just much rather my last meal, much rather like my last meal. Go to bed.
I'd just like the thought of that, like, it doesn't even cross your mind, does it? Like in the last however many weeks of a prep, it just doesn't even cross your mind. Like it's literally just right, it's bedtime, you go to bed, and you're like, you fall asleep like that because you're just fucked. Like my sleep throughout prep, I know people obviously wake up a lot in the night. I was waking up like once. I was hardly waking up a lot, but like
not doing enough, mate. That's why
I was just because I was fat. But like I honestly, like my sleep throughout prep was a joke. Like you just go to bed and you're asleep straight away. Like you don't even have to like think about going to sleep.
I even had that. Like my sleep was pretty good throughout my whole entire prep. And sometimes I don't know if you boys think the same, but when things like that are good, you start to think, is this hard enough? You know, you automatically think that you should be sort of suffering in that department. Like your sleep should be shit. You said, like, I was still having sex about 8-10 weeks out. Yeah, it wasn't the same as what it probably is now, but I was thinking, fuck, I'm still able to do this. But am I working hard enough? Am I lean enough yet? You know, so it's weird how our minds play sort of, because it was, I did have a problem. Now, on the other hand, it's like a raging morning boners. I'm guessing that's from the Proviral. It's like being a 16-year-old kid again. It's like painfully sore. It's great. Because but for me, it's gone from one extreme to the other. It's gone from me not having a boner for about 6 weeks to then getting one every single morning like a kid. It's fucking great.
I got shafted with this because I said on the podcast before, like my dick did not work for legitimately like 12 weeks, like did not work at all, not once. And like everyone else has like 6 weeks, and I'm like, I felt like I genuinely felt like I became asexual, where I just wasn't attracted to anything. Like there was not a single want or lust for anything. I've said this before on the podcast, but at the Arnold's, Finn said, mate, did you see the girl that gave you the medal? Like, Jesus Christ. And I was like, it almost popped in my mind. There's females. What?
You can't be saying
like,
this. What are you trying to stitch me up? Shannon might be listening to this.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, but nah.
Shannon,
as guys,
Shannon, I don't know what he's on about. That did not happen. That did not.
We can appreciate other people's beauty, and I literally was like, I haven't even looked at another individual today and even thought he looks cool or she looks attractive or whatever. Yeah. Not that I would.
I feel like you have a
long-term relationship.
It's just tunnel vision, isn't it? It's just tunnel vision. Like you almost like even just thinking back now, like I remember days on prep where like the whole day would just go, and I'd be like, you've not even thought about anything like other than just doing like the day-to-day, what you're doing in that next minute of the day. Yeah, like you're just literally focusing on the next thing at hand. You're not thinking about like, I've got this to sort out, or I wonder how they're getting on, or like, you wouldn't think about anyone else or anything else but yourself. It is obviously it's like a selfish sport, but it's like prep itself. You can be like selfish without even realizing because you just don't have energy to think about anyone else or do anything else but get your meals in and go and train. Like, I'm looking forward to it.
Numb. You just become incredibly numb to every situation possible, like emotionally as well. Like if someone passed away in my family or something seriously happened, I just sat there and like, it's not that I didn't care. It's just I was just numb to the situation. Like I had no emotions whatsoever. I just switch off from that.
I think some people are the opposite as well, though. Like I've had some clients this year who were like really emotional throughout a prep. Whereas I'm the opposite. I'm like, I end up turning into a robot and like, I have no emotion. It's just like nothing about me. but other people are the other way. Like, obviously, it just shows how everybody's different. But like, it almost makes more sense that you would be more emotional because your testosterone is going to be a lot lower. It would make sense that you would be a little bit more emotional.
I just switch off. My parents don't even speak to me when I'm prepping.
Yeah. I think me and Reece were both the same, weren't we? We were just like not like emotionless, but just no energy to talk or care about anything.
Yeah, and it's quite hard also with like your partners who haven't seen you like this before, who haven't gone through this before. Like in my 2019 prep, my ex-partner, you know, we separated towards the end, you know, because I just changed as a person, and I was totally fine with it. I was just like, yeah, cool, didn't have no emotions to it. So it's kind of like people around you aren't like, my mum hates me doing contest preps, like, you're getting lean again, or as she calls it, skinny again. It's just, yeah, it's weird. It just changes you as a person. Even now, I look back in some moments of my prep, think, who is that guy? You know, who is that guy? I don't recognize that guy at all. You know, your hormones are complete out of whack. It just changes you as a person massively.
I think, like, obviously for you and Sanaya, it was difficult on it because it was both your first preps, and you were like not like what you'd not been together long, had you?
No, so it was like 3 months that we were like together, but we're in a lockdown. So you don't really, in a lockdown, you're not really doing anything. It literally was, I was going around seeing her for a day or two, and that was it. I was also doing my dissertation. I then finished my dissertation, lockdown ends, gyms open up again, and then literally like within a week, I mean, we're both into a prep pretty much. So it was like 10, 11 months till we actually went out for like a food date. And in that time, like, you're prepping together, but you're not really prepping together because you're on your own sort of grind and you're on your own little path, as cringy as that sounds. But it gets to the point where like you get to then like 6 to 4 weeks out, and I remember Sanaya would like, she'd come into my room when I'm like working, and she'd like pick something up and she'd just groan, and I'd just be like, do you just want to fucking leave me alone? Like, stop coming in and be like, I don't want to hear you pick up a bag or go down the stairs and be like all negative. Just be quiet. And I'd be the exact same. And you just kind of gets on top of you. And it's like, I said to Finn before, like, I didn't really feel like I was in a proper relationship till afterwards. And that's not to say that you can't build a relationship in a prep, but when you've only had that short time prior, which really wasn't that much time to actually build the foundations, and then you go into a prep, like, Jesus Christ, in any other situation, like, you'd be surprised that would work at all, if that makes sense. Like, if I was to say that to most people, they'd be like, yeah, no chance, you're still together. But here we are.
Even the same with me and my partner. We got together just before I went into a prep, so we didn't really spend too much time getting to know each other. We've only just really, our whole relationship has just been me prepping, realistically. So we kind of almost kind of like, you know, when we went out for our first meal afterwards, it's kind of like, wow, okay, like, we're actually sort of getting to know each other. Because obviously throughout a prep, you can't be going out for meals, and you're very strict with time, and, you know, you get to a certain point in the day where you just hit this wall, and it's kind of like you're almost not there, realistically. You're there, but you're not there, if that makes sense. You might be sitting there watching the TV, but you might be nodding off or thinking about this.
Mate.
About that.
Don't speak to me about that. Don't speak to me about that. I said to Sanaya, I've mentioned this before. She's one of those people, you know, who comments on stuff when you're watching something on TV. And when you're fat, sound cool. Comment all you like. I'll laugh along. I'll join in. When you're lean and you are like very close to a show and you're fucked, the last thing you care about is shitty comments that like you don't need to say, but you'll say it's like because you're just having like some level of like humor. And Sanaya, she used to take it if I didn't respond, like, bless her, it's just her being lovely, but she'd almost think, oh, I hope everything's okay, so she'd keep saying it. And she'd mention something 5 or 6 times when we're watching something, and she'd be like, are you okay? And I'm like, yes, I just want to watch and not say anything. I just want to.
To be fair, though, like, I don't even think that's mainly the prep. Like, even if I'm tired on a night and like Shannon says a few things, like, she'll just be like chatting, and you know, when it doesn't require a response, like the response might just be like, oh, really? Like, so I just don't say, oh, like, I'm not going to say something when I just can't be asked. I don't think that is just the prep. I think that's just like, sometimes they will make comments that are maybe unnecessary. Like, I feel like I'll never say anything to you, Reece, unless it's me taking the piss out of you, or like something that requires you to actually comment back. Whereas like Shannon will talk at me all day, like, and it's fine. I quite like it, but like, on prep, it's obviously annoying, but like if like even now, like I don't respond. It doesn't annoy me, but like a lot of the time I won't respond, and she'll like mock me and pretend she's doing my response. She'll go, "Oh, really, Shannon?" Da, da, da. And I'm like, it doesn't need a response. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's not me just being a dick. I think that's just
No. So it turns out me and George are both dicks when we're prepping. You're just a dick
I'm just a
constantly.
dick 24/7.
That's what it is.
I'm not gonna pretend though. Like, you know, when like they say like it's the same. If you were to say something to me that didn't require a response, I'd be like, like I wouldn't go, "Oh, really? Thanks for telling me that. That pointless piece of information. That was great. You just wasted 30 seconds of my life."
Love it. But at the same time, I think if you can get through a prep together, you know, that's a pretty strong relationship. You're meant to be, I'd say. Hopefully.
Wait and see, mate.
Signed by Georgie boy. That means we've fucking got to be together now forever.
Right, I'm gonna stop it because we'll do part 2. All right, we're back. But again, for people, to be fair, I can even just cut these bits out, so it really doesn't matter when we say part 1 and part 2. George, I've got your Instagram up. Do you want to talk us through this photo first of all, mate?
Oh God,
this is for people who are the people watching.
Jesus Christ.
So this was you in prep, yeah. This was you like 2 weeks out.
It's literally me. That fucking beard, Jesus Christ. It's not a good look. That's not a good look either. That's all right.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. That one's fun.
Hell
that is dreadful. To be fair, I do look like that though. That's the thing.
That one's all right.
That's not bad. I'll take that.
Pretty hard there, don't you?
Yeah.
That one, face is a bit fucked again. I don't know what's going on with your eyes.
The Zeke's all right. I'll take that.
Yeah, looks decent, mate. I don't know how to get off this. Here we go. Yeah, congrats, mate, on the new sponsorship.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It was an opportunity I just couldn't turn down. Realistically, I think with Danny at Insight, he's always been very much invested into me. He's always gone above and beyond for me, and I just like where they're going in terms of like ambition, and I'm looking for that constant progression, if you know what I mean. So yeah, when he came up to me, because I originally was meant to sign with them in 2019, but it never went through, unfortunately. So yeah, the fact that I'm with them now, I'm buzzing about. So yeah, hopefully plenty more shit to come.
Double deal with you and Wiki. That's what it was.
Yeah. Double deal. Yeah, congrats to Wiki as well. Do you want to talk us through this, mate, or are you not allowed yet?
I'm allowed to talk about some of it, but not all of it. So long story short, I can't believe I'm wearing that, by the way. That's fuck it. You'd never see me in a vest. I'm not a vest guy. Just can't seem to rock a vest. And even
when Gymshark come calling me, you'll do whatever.
Yeah, I'll do whatever.
Put me in anything.
Yeah, put me in anything. I'll fucking wear it. So yeah, long story short, I had an email one day, and I was thinking Gymshark. Like what? Actually, it was a DM from the actual Gymshark page. I was thinking, sure, is this not fake? And they just basically wanted me to come down. They've got some clothing which are coming out in next year. And they wanted me to be a part of a YouTube video as well, which I can't talk about what the video is, but they wanted me to be a part of the video as well and do a campaign for the new clothing coming out. So I thought, well, I'm definitely going to take that opportunity. So that kind of was pretty cool. And I got invited down to the HQ. I was allowed to train at the Gymshark lifting club, which I'll be honest with you, is average as fuck. I was expecting it to be a pretty good gym.
Don't say that. We'll have to cut that out.
Mate,
what's his name? Ben Francis. I think he's quite he's a big listener. He's a fantastic
But no, honestly, it was a great experience. They went above and beyond. They looked after me. Got some free clothing out of it. Paid me as well. So all in all, can't complain.
That's class, mate. That's one of those things, isn't it, where it's like when you first start doing YouTube and stuff, like they're the things that you think, oh, that'd be sick if that happened. And it must be what? How many years you've been doing YouTube now?
5 years. Yeah. So it's sometimes, especially with YouTube, it's hard because you put so much time and effort into it. You invest into it, as you, like, for example, you boys know, and you expect that investment to sometimes get a return. And sometimes it can be, especially when you're starting out, it can be disheartening when you record, edit, upload a video and you get like 100, 200 views and you're thinking, fuck this, it sometimes can be quite hard, but you just got to keep going. Like I was in that position where I was getting, little views, and yeah, obviously it's picked up now, which has been great. And it's very motivating. I'm quite motivated by numbers sometimes, but you just got to keep going and keep fighting through that sort of grind, and the investment will eventually return at some point. I can tell you how much I've invested into cameras, videographers, editing, thumbnails. Even do like descriptions and titles now. I have someone doing that for me. So the investments, or they always will eventually pay off. But yeah, it was good. It was a really good experience. And Gymshark, if you're watching, please sponsor me.
Yeah, please, come on, help him out. And that's a good point, to be fair. I feel like what a lot of we do, like coaching, YouTube, influencing, should we say, like it is very much a case of it's never immediate. It never is immediate. So like when you're starting out coaching, let's say you get 5 clients, you can put out loads of content in your stories and stuff like that, but you might not get another client for 6 weeks. And you might lose a client in that period and you go down to 4 clients and it's like, oh God, it's the end of the world. But then you might get a week where you get 2 or 3 signups. And I feel like a lot of people are so that when they're motivated, cool, they're posting their stuff, but then they have a bad week and things just come off and fall off. And it's a case of when it comes to coaching, when it comes to YouTube, when it comes to anything that we do, it's very much a case of just being consistent. And like I always came from it from like a bit maybe like an ego perspective where I was just like, right, well, I'm doing it for me. And if people want to tag along and follow along or sign up for coaching when I start out, cool. But it wasn't like, I know you said you were quite obsessed with numbers. Like genuinely, I didn't know that Instagram had insights till about 6 weeks ago when Sanai told me. And I was like, oh shit, fair enough. I can see how many followers I'm gaining here. And that's just because I've always been very like, right, if you want to follow me, sound. But if you don't, then cool. But I feel like I've always been kind of not on my own path for stuff like that. But I think having that sort of mentality just to keep going, turning up, you have a bad week, keep doing your stuff.
Thing is, though, that's the same with absolutely anything, isn't it? That's not just in regards to coaching or social media. That is literally like just everyday life. That's how, if you want to do well in anything, that's how you've got to be. Because like you're gonna have loads of times where business isn't the best or social media takes a bit of a hit or whatever it is. Like, but if you then let that impact your next sort of steps, if you go, oh well, fuck it, someone's not watching my video, I've got half the amount of views, or for example, if the podcast started dropping in terms of numbers, like I'll be honest, we wouldn't know, like because we don't really keep an eye on it, do we? Like I'll know every now and again. I'll go, oh, that's pretty cool, like the video's got this amount of views, or oh yeah, the Spotify Wrapped came out and we went up by whatever percentage. That's great. But for example, in the next like month, we won't check the viewings or the listeners, how many we've got. We won't really check the numbers because, like I say, we do it because we enjoy it and we have like a little community of people that enjoy it. And hopefully over time, as it already has, that community will keep growing. But it's just like you say, it's literally a case of consistency. But yeah, like 5 years in the grand scheme of things, like it sounds like a lot, but 5 years, mate, it's not that much, is it? Like if you think you'd spend 3 years, 4 years maybe doing a uni degree, like, and a lot of us don't even use that. So 5 years putting it towards YouTube and having that as your career in the long term, like in years to come, you'll go, fucking hell, when I was 5 years in, I thought I was doing well. Now I'm on whatever subscribers and I'm earning this amount from it. Like, but you just got to keep doing it.
I think with like TikTok and Instagram Reels, it's very hard now because people's attention spans are smaller and smaller and smaller. Even mine, like amount of times, especially through prep as well, I could, if I watched a video for 5 seconds, I'm like, nah, this ain't for me. Nah. And I sit there like 10, 15 minutes trying to find a video that I can watch. Whereas even think about it now, like someone right now is either watching or listening to this podcast, they're investing an hour of their day or whenever into you. That's massive. That's absolutely massive. They're listening to this and they're investing into you. So even though sometimes it can be a bit disheartening, maybe getting 300, 400 views, that's a handful of people actually invested into that, a part of their day. It's fucking quite big when you think about it. So yeah, you just got to keep going with it. It's hard. It's harder now because a lot of people do it and it's a part of it. Especially being an online coach, everyone's either doing YouTube or TikTok or whatever. But you just got to keep going, 100%. Keep going. Wise words from George.
How do you find, like, obviously splitting up your time, like, for coaching and YouTube? Because like, I think now, like, I'd love to do some vlog style videos, but then I literally think like I'd struggle to do that. Like, I'm trying to think, how would I be able to fit? Obviously, we have a guy that comes and films us because it's easier for us than filming ourselves training or day to day. So obviously for you, like, YouTube is one of your, like you say, it's not your main income, but it is like it's your main aspiration for it to become like your main income. So obviously you need to prioritize it, but it must be difficult, like managing your time.
It is. So I have employed someone part-time to help me with that, with editing. So if I do need anything, like I record myself, and what I'll do is I'll send the clips over to him and he'll just edit for me if I haven't got time. I do enjoy editing myself. I don't know why I get into it. I get a little bit geeky.
I like it. When I used to do it, I enjoyed doing it.
it's great. Sometimes I used to, well, still now, I sometimes have a smoke and then I just fucking edit and I become so creative in my mind. It's so, I get a high out of it in itself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I'm at a point where I do earn, realistically a decent wage package each month from YouTube. So it's just a part of what I do realistically. Yeah, am I limited maybe how many clients I can take on maybe on a monthly basis potentially with that? But I don't. I'm someone who works. First thing when they wake up, I feel guilty if I sit down and do nothing. I'm like, I need to be doing something here. I'm always a worker, regardless. So I just make the time, just make it happen. And some of that's a sacrifice, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So how do your days, like, let's say you get up, training day, non-training day, go through it. How does your day go by?
So I get up at 5:30. First thing I do is obviously weigh myself, like all the blood pressure sort of stuff. I then will do work from like 6 till 8, have meal one, go back to work from like 9 till 10, take the dogs out, come back, go back to work, have pre-workout during that time. That's where I'll normally like edit a YouTube video or something like that. Train in the early afternoon, come back, work or edit. And then I'll take the dogs out again. I like taking the dogs out. I'm always out with the fucking dogs. It's probably why I could have way much more time if I didn't have the dogs, realistically. So yeah, I pretty much go to bed 10, maybe half 10, sometimes 11. Sometimes I push it. If I've got lots of stuff to do, then I'll go to bed 11, go out by 5:30, which is sometimes after a while, it does fucking catch up with you massively, that. But sometimes you've just got to do. So yeah, it's quite a busy day with editing, filming content, client work as well. So yeah, 5:30 to 11 is usually my sort of day.
Do you find that? See, that's one thing I struggle with, like letting work impact my sleep. It's like, even though I know I've got stuff to be doing, and there's always, obviously, like for all of us, there's always more to do. Like, I'll when it gets to like time that I need to go to bed, I'm like, I need to go to bed. Like, not from me being tired, but from me like not wanting to neglect sleep. Like, I think partly I used to literally, thinking back, like when I was at uni and when I was working like multiple jobs, like my sleep would be like midnight till 6, like every night, and I'd be absolutely fine. But like, I feel either it's because I'm an old man now, but I think it's because more so like psychologically, like if I get like, let's say 6 hours sleep, I'll be like, fucking hell, that's not good enough. Like I need to be getting more sleep than that. Like if I want to be the best that I can be from a bodybuilding aspect, like I need to be getting more sleep. Like, does that play on your mind, or are you like, it is what it is? This is important to me.
All the time. I know I need to get more sleep. Lately I've been terrible for it. Can't remember last time I had 7 hours of sleep, if I'm honest with you. Terrible for it. But I'm trying to work upon it. And yeah, it's just I'm a yes man recently, especially as I've come out of prep and I have more energy to do things. I'm willing to take more things on, and I've been neglecting things like sleep a little bit massively recently. Like I could get the sleep cycle app. I was like 5 hours, like 50%. I think, oh, like it's one of those ones. But at the same time, like what's that? I'm going to come out with a sleep quote now. You sleep when you die. Fuck no, some fucking hippie quote. But like I'd much rather work now and chill later than having to work when I'm it's like, boys, with being self-employed, like it's hard to take time off. Like even I'm going to Dubai on Sunday for Christmas, and it was the first time in 4 years of me coaching now that I've said I won't be working, which gave me massive amounts of anxiety, because I'm like, fuck me, if I lose, like, imagine losing like 10 clients, that's a big chunk of your income each month, right? Luckily everyone's been very understanding, but I still have this incredible guilt about picking up my phone or taking my laptop and having to do work. But I told myself, no, I need that step back. I need to have a break from doing it, because it is hard work and it's hard to take that time off. It really is. I struggle massively with it. Overwork.
You definitely deserve that. The thing is, what you got to think as well is, like, we all run our own like business, and ultimately if we ran a business and we had employees, those employees are entitled to holiday days. So like realistically, we are entitled to holiday days. Of course we are. Like, and your clients will understand. Like, obviously I took Shannon away for her birthday, and I had a week off from check-ins, and I was the same as you. I was like, I've not done that for like 3-4 years. Like, I was like, fucking hell, like this is like, I feel bad and I don't want to let people down. Like, I want to be known as the guy who just doesn't stop working. But then I was also like, but the thing is, like, it was Shannon's 30th birthday. Like, I'm not going to be that fucking arsehole who doesn't let my girlfriend enjoy her 30th birthday because I'm too busy working. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to actually give her some time and you know, be able to actually enjoy it and not be fucking anxious thinking I need to get back on my phone, I need to get to my laptop. Obviously, I had clients prepping at the time, so I was still doing bits and bobs and I was still getting back to people, like, and a lot of people wouldn't have even known I was on holiday, like, you know, for the people that I was prepping, because they were checking in every morning. But it is difficult to sort of be able to say to people like, look, I'm going to do this. And like I say, everybody's always understanding. As long as you're not taking the piss. Like, I've heard clients say to me before, like, oh, I was with this coach and he was taking a week off every month, saying no check-ins this week. Like, and it's like, obviously don't take the piss, but you are also entitled to have a life. Like, you're allowed to do things, like, and not be working 24/7.
Yeah, massively.
I clearly just want it more than you two boys. Never took any time off. So I'm so much
when your service is shit, mate, you don't need to take time off.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just awful service constantly. Somehow has more clients than you. And yeah, I'll just say, you know what? I'm just going to work. Yeah, that's what it is. No, to be fair, it's quite funny because if you think about, I go to Norfolk over Christmas, not Dubai, unfortunately. I go to Norfolk with my family. And then I'm also going to Canada next month, which is quite exciting. And for those, I'm going to probably take like 3 days. For both of them, I'm going to say, right, I'll probably just do voice note check-ins, but I'm probably going to say, like, for 3 or 4 days, like, check in before, check in afterwards. I might get back to you that day. It might be a day after, whatever. So I can actually enjoy a little bit of downtime on those sort of holidays. Because when you're not that busy in the first year or so of coaching, you might have a few check-ins a day. You might have 4 or 5 check-ins a day. But it gets to a point where, like, even if I was to say, right, I'm doing WhatsApp check-ins, let's say just voice notes, even if I'm efficient with the check-ins, I could easily be working for the vast majority of the day. So it's one of them where I think, and especially as well, like, I feel like you have to actually question, as Finn said, when it comes to quality, like, you can work constantly, but if you're getting to the point where you burn out and it's like you're feeling fucking run down, you're feeling like you're doing every check-in and it's not like enjoyable, which granted, like, any walk of life, any work will sometimes feel like that. But most of the time, coaching should be positive. It should be where you're coming on to check-ins, you're hearing positive kind of weeks and you're feeling all good. And I think at times, like, if you're just constantly, let's say, checking, it can get to a point where your quality of service comes down as a result of you just doing the same sort of stuff constantly, which isn't a bad thing about clients. It's just you do it constantly. It's like training. I'd love to never deload. I'd love to train every day. But if I trained every day, Jesus Christ, I'd be fucking ruined after 2 weeks. If I didn't deload, oh my God, my joints, I'd feel, my joints would feel older than they actually probably already feel now. I feel like 80, not 60. Like, I quite like my 60-year-old joints currently. So, yeah.
No, it is. It's like definitely about the quality, because again, like, you know, George could do check-ins in Dubai, but you wouldn't really want to be, and you'd be rushing through them just to get them done so that you can go and enjoy yourself.
Ooh,
like,
Finn,
instead
is that
of
my
just saying
internet
people,
or is that your internet?
What,
George, can you hear him?
Am I lagging out?
I'm all good. I'm here.
Reece, your internet's fucked, mate. I'm gonna kick you.
Lagging.
I'm gonna kick you out. Look at him, he's so confused.
Yeah, look at that little.
He's back.
I'm back.
Sorry,
yeah,
guys.
Finn started lagging, but George,
No,
I could see him.
I didn't start lagging, mate. It was you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was saying, like, it is all down to the quality of the check-ins, because you could easily go on a holiday and you could still be like, yeah, I'm still gonna do check-ins, but like, I wouldn't want to, like, sacrifice that quality. And the thing is as well, like, you know, your clients are paying for a service. You want that service to be the highest quality. Like, you know, I want my clients to think, fucking hell, like, this is really good. This is really worth the money. Like, he puts a lot of time and effort in. So I'd rather say, look, I'm going to take this time off, but, you know, I'm back from here. And it's very rare that you would take any time off. Like I say, you know, that's the first time I've ever done it. Same with George this time. And then you actually can really enjoy it. Like, you'll have a mint time in Dubai and you'll be like, fucking hell, I'm so glad that I did that. And then you'll get back and you'll be like raring to go. I remember after that holiday with Shannon, I was like, I can't wait to get back on top of check-ins. I can't wait to check on, like, how everyone's getting on. And like, I've never really felt like that, like, to that extent. Like, obviously I enjoy what I do, but I was like buzzing to get back to it. So I was like, really sort of, I was almost like, it solidified that I'm like, right, this is good that I'm doing what I'm doing. I enjoy what I'm doing. And it's like even solidified that a little bit more by having a bit of time away from it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm, as much as I'm not looking at, I am looking forward to going away. I just feel a bit lost if I'm not working almost. I've always been working. Like, I started doing an everyday paper round when I was 12 years old, going out my bike at 7 o'clock in the morning, delivering papers. I've always been a worker. So me actually doing nothing, I'm like, fuck, I feel completely like a lost sheep. So, but no, it's good. You're spot on about what you said. Spot on.
probably because you're not used to it, George. So like, if that's all you know, of course you're going to feel that, you know. And especially bodybuilding and stuff like that, you become a bit of a creature of habit. So it'll probably do good to take some time off. I don't know if you actually mentioned it, mate. How long are you away for?
About 12, 13 days.
Oh, that'd be nice. Is this your first holiday with? I'm guessing Wiki's going.
Yeah, basically her parents live out in Dubai.
Oh, sick.
So, yeah. So basically, we've got like a bit of
some money, mate.
There.
Save on accommodation.
Yeah, exactly that. So, yeah, it was an opportunity. When it came up, I was thinking, I've got to go. You know, I can't turn that down. So I was a little bit like, I'm going to be away from my family at Christmas for the first time, because normally I've always been at home on home soil. But I thought, you know what, I've got to live a bit, go out. So I've never really. Last holiday I went on was when I was 21, 4 years ago. So I've not had a holiday since then. So I need a good time away. Yeah. Also, on that note, can you get into Canada with no? I remember listening to your other podcast. You got no vaccination, boys.
Yeah. So you can.
We're anti-vaxxers here, mate.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm the exact same. I'm not jab. Fuck that.
Good work. The anti-vax podcast. That's what we are.
The title's called.
Yeah, team anti-vax or hashtag anti-vax, whatever that is. Yeah, Canada, you can get into pretty much anywhere now without a vaccine, bar the USA.
Can't get into America. Yeah.
The only place in like the Western world in 2023 or heading into 2023 where you need a vaccine, which is, I think that just sums up America. Like that sums up just like backwards sort of mentality. But I don't know, hopefully they drop it, because me and Sanaya were originally going to go to New York. That's where we wanted to go, and I've heard a few people who have gone and they were fine, they didn't get asked. But imagine you've booked all that and you just get an absolute job's worth, like who's just on the board saying,
mate, imagine if you got a it wouldn't be Roy, would it? What was that, the other person that like stole your cream of rice at the airport?
I had to eat my cream of rice. George, you wouldn't. I don't know if we explained this really.
I put it on my Instagram, but you won't see this ages ago.
Yeah, when we went to Ireland, I took a cream of rice meal with me, and the first guy saw the cream of rice, and he was like, "Yeah, it's cool," because it was like cream of rice. It's cool.
He was like he was a bit of a lad, wasn't he? He was a good lad, Roy.
Yeah. Yeah,
like, big Roy. He was like a body. He wasn't a bodybuilder, but he was like, "Yeah, I know what it is. I used to train." That's what he said to you, didn't
he? Yeah. I was like, sound. And then we went through again because we missed the flight. So we had to buy another ticket to get the plane. Yeah, so we missed the flight. And then I had this woman, and mate, it was almost like I'd offended the entire. I was going to blow up a plane. That's what she was acting like with this cream of rice. She was like, "You are not allowed this." I was like, "It's a meal. I need to eat."
But then he stitched up Roy, and he was like, "Well, Roy said I could," because he had his name tag on, and Roy was like, Roy was fuming. And then I got a video of them two, and Roy was like speaking to Reece, going like, I was saying like in the background, like, "You fucking lost my job. I've lost my job because he."
Was it pre-made cream of rice, or was it just cream of rice?
It was like just a made cream. I could have ate it. I ate it.
It was quite watery, wasn't it? That was what the issue was.
Yeah, I should have just made. If it was like cream of concrete and I just fucking obliterated it, it would have been fine. But yeah, right. Should we get into a few questions?
I was going to say, I've got quite a lot of questions, so should we rattle through them? Have you got a few?
Right. So to be fair, the good thing is about these questions is they always seem to kind of like, most of them actually get answered as we have a chat. So like Bailey Doggett asked, "What made you want to turn to the dark side?" Oh, George has already answered that.
Yeah.
We've got another one from him. Ultraflex or the new destination place? That's the new gym you've been training at.
Yeah. You know, so it's a good gym. It's a very new gym. It's only been open for about 6 weeks. The only bad side about it is it's kind of like a posh Nuffield. It's like a bodybuilder's Nuffield. It's very like sort of fitness center. The atmosphere is a bit meh, but the equipment's very, very good. Almost too good, where it's like, okay, like this is a fresh prime leg extension. It kind of like you have to wear it in, and you don't want to like fucking break it. You know, it's kind of like new like that. I'd still say Ultraflex all day.
Yeah,
mate. I've got a question based on that new gym. So I'll say the guy's name because you might know him. So it's Malk Boyd. That's his name on Instagram. He said, "Ask him why him and his missus leave their weights on the machines at Destination Gym." We actually called it Dedicated Gym, and then he put in the next question, Destination Gym.
That's I've got all respect in the world. I'd never do that fucking shit. Never.
Mate, he's calling you out.
Yeah, come talk to me in the gym. Come say it to my face.
There we go. That's testosterone talking there. That's
next thing we see.
Do not up it.
George gets knocked out by this guy.
Doesn't need any more test.
He come up to me, fucking, it's a big 6'6" guy, kind of square. What you say about me on the podcast?
This is from Will Razzo. He said, "Are you the rightful owner of Make Bodybuilding Great Again 2.0?"
Why? Make bodybuilding great?
Do you know that page, the Instagram page?
Oh
You
yeah,
it,
yeah.
you and Thorburn.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a fucking.
I was on it with
Oh yeah, you can't be the owner because you're on it.
It was what was I on it for? Was it me rimming Kuba's ass or something like that? I can't remember now. There's something.
You and Thorburn, I think, were like running down like a parade at Pride with like a rainbow.
Oh yeah. That was it. Yeah. Fucking.
We're all for gays, though, aren't we, Reece? So
Yeah, we're pro gay.
we're pro gays, mate. So
We're pro gay and anti-vax. That's the reason why.
Pro gay and anti-vax.
Well, the guy who ran it said that Sanaya is his girlfriend. So Sanaya's clearly cheating on me with the guy who runs the page.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Speaking of you and Thorburn, mate, I got a question. Underscore, whatever, however many underscores, train JP. It's not the trained by JP. Is George not living with Jack anymore? And if not, are they still mates? And why? Why are you still mates?
We're still mates. We just do our separate thing. That's pretty much that. Realistically, it just wasn't something that worked out, and that's that.
I think it's difficult. Like, I don't think I could live with Reece. Like, I think you get on, especially when you do the exact same thing as each other. Yeah. And even if you're doing it at the same time.
The idea sounds so much better than it actually is.
Yeah, like going on holiday and stuff with each other, you have a mint time for like a week or 10 days. But like, even then in the past, like, I've been on lads' holidays with mates from back at home that I like my best mates from back at home. And they still get like, you get on top of each other a little bit, don't you? You get under each other's toes, like when you're around each other too much. And then it all ends up being like, I feel like that's one thing, like when you find a partner where that doesn't happen, that's like a big deal. Like, you know, if they don't get under your toes and piss you off, like obviously we spoke about it earlier with prep, but like majority of the time, if they're not annoying you, just doing like day-to-day things, like you probably know, okay, like this is someone that I could spend the rest of my life with. But it's easy, like when you're with your mates, it's easy for it to like you say, it sounds like a great idea, and then you realize that, oh, like we're probably spending too much time together.
Yeah, it's difficult because we were both prepping at the same time, both getting a little bit. We never fell out at all, anything like that. It's just there was also like a lot of competition between us. That's what I don't know. I love competition. Like, you know, I'm always up for it, but sometimes it was just like, especially when you diet and it's just way too much.
It doesn't need to be everything every day. Like,
it was like that.
Like, was he pinching his quads and then pinching yours, and you were like, you're so behind. Honestly, I'm so much leaner than you, bro. You need to be pushed harder.
And with Jack as well. Like the amount of times I was in my own head, like I was like, fucking Jack's leaner than me. Jack's dropping his food. I need to be dropping my food. So it kind of fucks you up a bit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, oh, am I on track? Because we were doing literally the exact same shows. And I was thinking, fucking Jack's leaner, because he was leaner at me at most points of the prep. And I was thinking, fuck, like I need to either put my foot down here or do something about it. So it does impact massively.
Do you find, like with that, do you find it difficult being coached, or do you think it helps being coached? You know what I mean? Because if you're thinking, I think I'm behind, like obviously you'll speak to AJ about it. And do you think that like it helps that you were coached because you can speak to AJ and he can go, right, no, look, realistically, this is where we're at? Or do you think if you weren't being coached, you would take action on your own? Would that be beneficial or not?
It's quite interesting because my final show of the season, the season just gone, my best look was when I made the decisions in terms of what I did. So long story short, in other shows, we used to eat 3 meals beforehand. It used to be cheap. And every time I used to eat any sort of carbs or even just carb load, I just go the opposite way and just look softer. I don't want to fuller and still granted lean, but I just softer. So I was like to AJ in the last show, thought, right, I'm gonna, because I could prep myself realistically. I just like to have the sort of element of kind of bouncing back and forth with someone, getting some ideas, learning as well, and also just having that accountability. But for the last show, I was like, right, AJ, I'm going to do this on my own. And I just made a decision on the show day, the British finals. I said, I'm not going to eat. Not going to eat. I'm just going to sip on water throughout the day. Did not eat one thing. Came in, looked my absolute best. So yeah, it's difficult for me because even like with like Cal the other week, I was ill and Cal said, let's devolume, mate, for the week. And I was thinking, I didn't do it. And the reason why I didn't do it is because I was on a fucking roll. And I was like, mate, I'm adding 10 kilos here to lifts. I'm adding 5-6 reps. So I said to him, yeah, I'll devolume, but I never did. And now I'm actually deloading because I've bitten myself.
Cal listens to this podcast as well, mate.
Cal's gonna slap me on the. No, I did say to him, mate, I didn't listen to you the other day. I'm always very honest with that. So I do sometimes bite myself in the ass in the sense that I do follow, but then I'm like, I think I know better in some situations. But I need to tell myself, right, I'm paying Cal. I've got to fucking listen to him.
I think that's where it's just good having a good relationship. Like, for example, with AJ, like I guarantee when you said, I think I want to try this, mate, I bet he wasn't like, no, you got to do what I say. I bet he was like, yeah, cool. Like I always say to my clients, like, you know your body best. So you need to give me as much information as you can based on what you think and how you feel. And then like, if you'd have said, oh mate, I feel like I should have a Mackey's breakfast in the morning, like AJ'd probably go, you shouldn't. Like, it's probably not the best idea. You've not had a Mackey's breakfast for 35 weeks, so probably don't do that. But you saying I'm not gonna eat because I think I'll be tighter through the midsection, like, cool, go for it. Like, and you learn from it. And the thing is, it was like your last show, you probably knew by that point that you were like going enhanced afterwards and stuff anyway. So it was just a case of you, again, like you say, learning about your physique.
Yeah, it was a difficult one because I was like, right, I could fuck this up because I wanted to place top 3 in that show. That was my main goal in that show, and I think I could easily fuck this up massively. But I was like, no, I from basically what we trialed, I was like, right, every time I eat food, I look worse, so I'm just not going to eat. And you said the exact words that AJ said. You know your body best. I trust you, and I was like, sound. So. But yeah,
were you happy like with this season? Like, were you happy? Obviously, I know you said that was your best look. What did you think of the other shows? And were you happy with all the results? Because I know there was a couple. Obviously, you placed at a couple of shows, didn't you? One of the shows you not placed, but it was like, I'm sure the standard was really good.
I won the show was the UK DFBA Northern.
Yeah, we were at that one that you won.
Yeah, I won.
The guy that you beat, George. Did you see what he did when he hit the most muscular?
Yeah, did you hear
it? What's that again? What?
So the guy that you beat, who finished second in the first show, when you obviously most muscular pose, did you hear what he said?
Nah.
Wow. Like, me and Finn started pissing.
It was loud. It was loud enough.
He turns around, hits his most muscular, and screams, "Yeah, buddy!"
The guy that you beat, I'm sure you will have been stood next to him when he said
it. Yeah. Oh my god, no. Oh fuck, that cringes me. I can't remember that. I must admit the standard of that in my class wasn't great, so I knew kind of backstage you kind of know if you're going to beat someone or not. I then placed second at the BNBF Northerns to the guy that won his pro card this year, so I was quite happy about that because I came second there. And then I did the BNBF finals and I didn't place, but the standards there were standard crazy.
Yeah, standard.
The short class in that, like fucking ridiculous. I've never seen, and I've realised I don't suit the BNBF class. They like the more bigger, bulkier sort of guys with more muscle, whereas me, I'm more, call it aesthetic. Like, I've not got crazy amounts of muscle mass, but I do have maybe better shape in that side of things. So yeah, I wasn't really too far. I wasn't even going to do the BNBF, but I did it, and I wish I never did it, so I could have prepped better for the UK DFBA, which was 2 weeks later, and then I got third in the UK DFBA, which I was happy about. But it did get to a point, I must admit, towards the back end of the prep after dieting for 30 weeks, I was more excited to go down the enhancement route than what I was finishing the prep.
I think that's normal anyway, though. Like, I remember towards the end of my prep, I was like, I can't wait to start eating more and getting strong again.
Yeah,
like, more than anything, it was like I want my training to get back into a good spot.
And it didn't help that I had the call with Cal. That was like during my prep, and I had my gear in the cupboard waiting for me. It was just kind of like, I fucking might as well do this going into the last show,
Could have done it, mate. You might not have got tested.
Could have done it. Yeah, could have done it. So yeah, I was happy with this season. I wanted to win a show. I did that, which I was happy about. I wanted to place top three, which I did. And obviously I improved upon, I think I wasn't as lean as what I was in 2019, and I wanted to be. But at the same time, like, when it comes with bringing conditioning in, you have to sacrifice some sort of, muscle to get that extra bit of conditioning naturally anyway. So I wasn't really prepared to do that because it took me a fucking another 6-8 months to regain that after my show. It's always funny because I used to post transformation photos and people are like, oh, you made so much fucking progress since your prep. And I'm thinking, I haven't really. It's just the muscle that I've regained. It's just the exact same as what I was before prep. People are like, oh, fucking sick progress. I'm like, just lying to people here.
That's a joy. You get loads of comments in the back of your head. You're like, oh, I'm a bit of a fraud.
Yeah, a bit of a fraud here.
Right, this continues quite well. We've got a question, mate, regarding like similar sort of topic. So for the guest, so not for George, for the guest. So for the guest, do you think you reach your natural peak? Are you proud of how big you got? Continuation. I don't know if pics don't do you justice, but many natties look much bigger. Brackets, no hate. So I feel that's a little bit of a passive.
No hate, but I've just fucking told you that you look small.
Yeah, I feel like a little bit of a passive aggressive sort of like question. You know? So George, basically, mate, you're a small natty. Are you proud of how small you are?
You know, obviously on stage I'm 67 kilos. Like, it's not fucking impressive at all. Like most females weigh, average females.
Yeah,
weigh
but also like, what are you What height are you? Like, I always say this because people obsess over scale weight, but like your frame.
I'm 5'6" on a good day, 5'5" on a terrible day.
So your frame plays a massive role in that. Like,
yeah,
you're not going to be 110 kilos on stage. Like,
no, I'm fully aware. I'm never going to be. Even when I start, like people are like, are you going to blow up when you're on PEDs and stuff like that? Yeah, I've obviously added decent size already, but I'm never going to be a mass monster. You'll never see me at like 300 pounds or like Reece 120 kilos. You know, I'll never get up to that point because I'm just not built for it. You know, the heaviest I've ever got in my life is like 85 kilos, and that was a fucking push. Even think about it, like it's hard for me to ever get fat. Like even naturally in my off season, I was eating 4,700 calories and not even gaining any weight from it. You know, so I was saying to myself, I can never get fat. My parents have never been fat. We're all very sort of small, structured sort of people. So I'm fully aware that I'll never be a mass monster. But you know, I like to say that I'm happy in the 7 years that I did natural bodybuilding. I'm happy with what I achieved. I showcased that you can make result, you can improve year upon year. You can improve if you do take time off. Unfortunately, with natural bodybuilding is you have to take that 2 year, you know, what it's like thing. You have to take that time off to grow and come back next time completely different. You have to. You can't compete year upon year and expect to see changes, unfortunately, in natural bodybuilding. And the hardest thing mentally is actually taking that time off. Because I got to about a year and a half into this, and I want to prep next year. But I knew I had another year off, and I look back now and I think I probably would have made more progress if I actually competed, if I didn't take 2 years off, if I maybe took a year off and then compete the next following year. I reckon I would have made more progress because my motivation, my drive to keep going would have been better. So it's a hard one, but yeah, I know I waffled there, but yeah, thanks for the passive aggressive question, but yeah, I'm always proud of myself.
That's a good point. You know, like I think one thing that I know that Keefe spoke about before was he was saying like he feels like he makes more progress competing year on year because he has like 6 to 8 months to really push his off season. So he's like, eat as much as I can, train as fucking hard as I can, get as strong as I can, because then I'm dieting again. So like, you almost need to do both. You need to have that mentality, but do it for 2-3 years, or like 4 or 5 years, and then you come back like, and it's like fucking hell, like what's happened to that guy? But it's because you've had that mentality of like, I need to fucking make the most of every single session, every single meal, every night's sleep, and you do that for months and months and months, and it's like, oh shit. But it's easy, like you say, for you to realize, like you get to a point where you go, I'm probably not as on it as I was in prep, and then you've got to like assess and go, well, why am I not? Where am I not ticking those boxes? But it's difficult because, you know, it's, for example, like perfect example for me is my sort of pre-prep diet, and towards the end of it and coming out of the pre-prep diet, like you're so much more in tune with your body. Like when you're just peak off season and you're just eating a lot, and obviously you're strong and training's going great and you feel great, but you don't actually think about how you feel or even how you look. Like you don't really assess it. You just, I was posing all the time after every session, but I was just like, I'm a fat mess. It is what it is. I'm at that point where I should kind of be. But then like coming to the end of the pre-prep diet and reversing out and actually feeling like I'm utilizing food again. It's like, oh, fucking hell. You know, was I doing everything I could maybe in the off season? On paper, I was, but like from a mentality standpoint, maybe could I have been doing things better? It does make you think, like, could you make more progress in a shorter off season?
I only had one mini cut throughout that sort of 3 year period or 2.5 year period I had off, one mini cut, and I wish I dieted again in the back end of 2021 and then reversed and then gone into the next year being a bit leaner, had some momentum, because I started prepping, I had pretty much not much momentum to go in. Like it's hard because obviously it was in the lockdowns as well, because that massively impacted things, training out of the garage and shit like that, or sneaking into gyms at shit times. But I wish it's even like, just like, for example, I think Dubai, I think they have like 4 working days throughout the week. You get a lot more done in those 4 weeks. You're more productive in those 4 days, sorry, than what you would if you worked 5 or 6 days. And for me, I found I would have been much more productive if I did a year and a half off, competed, or even dieted down, and then gone back into it. I'd have been way more productive instead of just constantly being in the surplus. Because
sorry, guys, George got cut off by Zoom, by us being cheapskates on Zoom. So next question, Reece, you got another one?
You go, mate. Just get mine up.
Okay, so Macca Morris, appreciate the questions as always. Macca has asked, is turning unnatural everything George expected it to be, and what's the goal now for George being unnatural? So we didn't really discuss like what your goals are.
Can I interject here, because I've got one? What is your end goal in bodybuilding for all of us? So that'll be the continuation.
For all of us.
Yeah, but we'll finish that. George, first question to you.
So do I expect to enhance? Obviously, like I'm still on like, you know, a TRT realistically, so I'm not expecting anything fucking crazy to be happening right now. Don't get me wrong, like when it first started kicking in, I did feel a massive difference. Like I just felt fuller. My delts started capping a lot quicker. Like I was like looking at myself, thinking, fucking hell, like I'm going to bed and I'm just full as a house, wake up feeling full, having a bit more of a pump. But it's nothing like, you know, like this magic pill that's going to change you overnight. You know, it's nothing like that. People glamorize it in the sense that it's fucking, you know, completely changed. At this point for me anyway, being 6 weeks on and only on TRT, or even less than that in some cases, it's not, you know, I'm not going to say it's fucking amazing right now, and I feel massively different. Goal wise, I want to be the best version of myself. I'd love to chase down a pro card one day. I've said that to Cal. Cal is obviously being very honest with me. He said, yeah, well, the opportunity's there. I wouldn't push you if I didn't believe that that's something that you could achieve. So, I mean, the sky's the limit, realistically. As long as I'm the best version of myself, that's all I care about, really. And if that's rewarded, then that's rewarded. It's not.
Good answer.
Yeah. Finn, what is your end goal in bodybuilding, mate?
Maybe one day I'll fulfill my potential and I'll jump to the dark side. But for now, I'm just going to stay subpar. No one really cares about me in natural bodybuilding. That's all I'm really bothered about. No, to be fair, like I don't want to sound like a twat here, but I don't think like I've never thought like, oh, IFBB Pro, like that's amazing. Like I know a lot of people, it's like their dream, and like I've never thought that, and I don't think that with a natural pro card. Like it'll be cool to get one. And I think in the future, I probably will. If I keep committing to this and putting the time and effort in that I do, I think I will get one in the future. But I've never been like, and I know Reece hasn't, you've never been like, oh, I'm dying to be a pro. Like exactly like what George said. I just want to be the best that I can be for me. I just want to be, better. That's all I want. I just want to keep progressing. That's all I think bodybuilding is about, is to keep progressing. Whenever I get the question like, why are you not going to jump on gear? It's like, because I know that I can still make so much progress naturally. Like, I know that I can, so I don't feel like I need to, and I don't have that goal of just being the biggest guy, or like I'm not. I don't think, oh, I need to be an IFBB pro, or I want to get to the Olympia. Like if I thought that I had the potential to do that, then maybe I would have that goal. But in all honesty, like even when I first got into bodybuilding and stuff, like I was following people like Rob Lipsett and like Ross Dickerson, like, you know what I mean? I was never following people like. I wasn't even following people like Ryan Terry back in the day, or like Steve Cook, to be fair, I was following, and obviously he was competing. But when you first get into it and you sort of think, oh, that's a physique that I kind of aspire to look like was never a bodybuilder. Like now I have more aspirations to improve my physique from a bodybuilding perspective, but I still never think like, oh, I have to get to this level. Or, like I'm dying, I must be a WMBF pro. Like I've never once thought that. I think it'll be cool, and I do think I probably will be at some point in the future. But I'm not like obsessed with that.
Do you look up to more natural bodybuilders, or do you look up to more enhanced bodybuilders in terms of like shape, muscularity?
I think anybody who says they look up to more natural bodybuilders is probably kidding themselves. And there might be some, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say that I look up. I think it's more impressive. Of course it is. It's like freaks. It's like anything. It's like, you can support a club in League Two, but you'd probably still rather go and watch the Champions League final. You know what I mean? Like you might still love that club in League Two and they're your team, but doesn't mean that you don't think that the Premier League's a better league. You know what I mean? Like, I know for a fact that enhanced bodybuilding is more exciting, it's more impressive, it is a higher level, of course it is. But what I like and what I've always liked is, for example, like you look at someone like David Kay or any of the top like natural guys, you know, even like Adam Powell that we had on last week. Like, you know, you see Adam in a hoodie and joggers, he doesn't even look like he trains. And that's no disrespect to Adam. That's any natural bodybuilder, unless you're huge. Like even Keefe's a fucking big guy. But if he's in a hoodie and joggers, you wouldn't look at him and go, fucking hell, he's big. But then you see him on stage or you see him when he's posing, you think, fucking hell, that guy's a joke. I like that. And I've always thought that was pretty cool. Like even like you know, for like George, for example, like, you know, like you say, you've not got a big frame, you're not the biggest guy. Like, you know, you walking around, and the same with most natties, you wouldn't look at you and go, fucking hell, he's big. But then when you pose and you're shredded, it's like, fucking hell, like that's a sick look. That I've always found that pretty cool.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like even when I went to the pro show at the BNBF, was it BNBF finals? Yeah, it was. And you know, some of those guys are fucking very impressive, very, very impressive. So yeah, I get it. But you know, but I think obviously now with the assisted side of things, obviously natural bodybuilding was a lot easier in the sense that all I had to focus on is eating, sleeping, and training. Whereas now I have to think about fucking supplementation. I'm going to the bar. Okay, what do I do about gear? You know, there's so many things you have to think about now being enhanced. Which I get excited by that sort of stuff. That excites me because it gives me more accountability. I'm that sort of person. I'm never someone who's not going to be, you know, lazy with it or anything like that. But yeah, I would certainly say, like, I don't know where I'm going with that one, if I'm honest with you. Fuck knows, ruined it. Cut.
It's Reece, you've got to tell us. You've got to say your goals.
Yeah.
Finn, I'm similar to you. I'm quite boring with stuff like this. Like,
don't lie, mate. You want to be Mr.
Oh
Olympia.
yeah. Oh wait. I wake up every morning and I manifest that I'm going to win a pro card. I'm going to qualify for the Olympia. No, not the Olympia. The O emoji.
The red O emoji.
Yeah,
you know what? My alarm says. It's the red O emoji. It says, "Go get him, champ." And then in brackets it says WMBF. And it's like, no, I can't do the Olympic.
I'm just not that asked about. Like, I look at it and like what you said, Finn. Like, if I was to skip 2-3 years from now, I'm gonna be a pro. Like, I know that whether it's next year, whether it's a year after, I'll get that, and that'll be what I've worked towards, and it'll be cool. It'll be a cool like reaffirmation of the work I've put in. But I'm not gonna break down in tears, and I'm not gonna do a fucking reel on Instagram that says this is everything I've been working for, because I get more enjoyment out of training. I get more enjoyment out of, let's say, adding 10 kilos to a lift and looking at a set. Like before I did that 200 kilo flat bench the other day. Before the set, I was like laughing to myself and I was like, this is 200 fucking kilos. And I was like, this is what I want to be doing. This is like the fun side of it, where it's like,
why don't you become a powerlifter?
Because I don't enjoy that style of, I wouldn't be able to do 5 sets.
Because you don't, because your form's shit. That's why.
Form's wicked for the flat bench. My form's awesome. I just wouldn't be able to fucking pause it and stuff like that. But no, I like the feel before heavy sets. I like the feel you get. I like the reward scheme of all those sets contributing towards a better physique. But I'm not going to do a chest session and be like, oh yeah, my chest is growing. It's going to do some posing after my session and feel so much better. You only get kind of that sort of feel when you're really lean and you see the improvements you made in your off season prior. So like my end goal, as best as I can do in physique until I probably get too big for physique, and then I probably transition to classic, in which I'd need to be a pro to be able to compete in classic relative to my weight cap. And then enjoying training and getting stronger, and just, as George said, and as you said, like being the best version of myself. But I don't really have like an end goal. It will be wherever my ceiling is in physique, and then likewise classic once I get too big for physique.
I think for you, like, just this is painful to give you a compliment. But
here we go, Fid. Come on, tell me.
Like you've just said, in terms of like your ceiling, like I think you should be thinking like, I should be going to get like qualification for the Olympia. That's my goal. Like, get a pro card, qualify for the Olympia, do well at the Olympia, like, and then go from there and set more goals. Like, no disrespect to George, like, you know, like you say, the sky's the limit. You never know in the future, but genetically and from a structure standpoint, like me and George haven't got the same structure that you've got for bodybuilding. Yeah, whether it be for physique or whatever. Like, just for bodybuilding, we haven't got that same structure. Like, so you should be setting those goals high, mate. Just don't fucking stop sandbagging with your goals.
Reece, what was your weight when you was natural? Like, what was your sort of peak weight?
I was 111 kilos. I was 100. I was 106 at 17. Like
It's
18.
fucking nuts. And I bet
Yeah.
you was already benching like probably what 140 or something. The naturally, you've always sort of been a strong.
Mate, no, mate. I was benching like 160, and like yeah, I was
see,
160.
yeah. See, some people just like in that sense, you just know. I've kind of got to just when someone's doing stuff like that naturally, they're going to do well down the enhancement route 100%. And even seeing you bench press 200 for free the other day, I was thinking, me and Wicks were actually talking about it. I was like, that's fucking more than my deadlift. I can't even pull it off the floor and he's fucking pressing it. I was like, what the fuck? You know, it's crazy. So yeah, mate, you know, it's good. And you must admit, I think you certainly do wake up in the morning and think, right, pro card, get to the O. You know, you've got to be for what you're doing.
There's no chance that he thinks that.
I think there is a small moment in your day you think, right, okay, yeah, obviously, like you love the training, you do it because you love the training, but there is an element I certainly think, right, I want to reach those sort of limits. And I think to get to that sort of limit, I think to get to them places, you've got to think like that.
Yeah.
I think it's a transition towards thinking that. Like, for example, last year, there were times where, like, in the prep, I was like telling myself, right, cool, this is the day I'm going to be fucking 100% for. These are my shows. This is when I'm going to have to turn up. And that was probably like an external motivation. Like, I'd finish my hour's worth of cardio and I'd like theoretically pat myself on the back and clap and not be like, not that sounds cringy, but I'd be like, right, one step forward, like one step closer to where you need to be. But I don't wake up, like I do my cardio and like now, and I'm like, right, cool. Just I can set the standards day to day. So it's not where I like, let's say, weigh myself and think, right, this is going to be the goal. I'm not really like that. I'm very robotic and I do the same stuff. And over years of me doing the same stuff, like at uni, I don't think in the 3 years I was at uni, I ate off plan once. Like I was so routine, I was so regimented. Now I probably enjoy maybe a little bit more flexibility based on, I feel like when you've been through a prep and you know you're going to have a big like part of when you are going to be prepping, when you're not, you can probably say, right, I'm going to have a meal with Sanaa or my girlfriend, my mum, for example. I might have a little bit more flexibility. But I lived my teens and like my early like 20s as so like stupidly regimented to the point where it was like the standards were just set every single day. And when you build on those standards, it's the same from a training standpoint. Like if I was to let myself down from me not being prepared for a set, like mentally, I'd be pissed off at myself for the next week until I do the exercise again. So it's almost a case where like it's more so the standards I set, and as a result of those standards I set, I look all right. I look the way I do, and that's the reason why I step on stage next year. If I get my pro card, it's not going to be a surprise. I've put fucking everything into this. But if I don't get it, I'd be like, well, I've put fucking everything I have into this. I just need to be better. And it would be a case of like that sort of approach. But so I technically would say I do wake up with that sort of mentality, but it's not towards just competing and just getting to the Olympics.
I think it's you almost subconsciously have that mentality.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same for me. Obviously, I don't have the same mentality of like, I want to get to the Olympia, but like I have the same mentality. And George, you'll be the same. Like, you know, you don't get up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. for no fucking reason. You get up because you want to be good at what you do. And you probably don't wake up and go, I need to get up because I want to get my pro card. You just get up because you know that is part of it that in the long term will get you there. Because obviously, mate, you could win your pro card if you woke up at 7 a.m. Of course you could, but like, you know, it's that mentality of like, well, I've told myself I'm getting up at 5, so I need to fucking get up at 5. Otherwise, I've lost already. Like the first task of the day, I've already lost. Like, and then you're already on the back foot. So I think you probably subconsciously do have that kind of drive in your head, and it's just, I think, like we say, me and Reece were quite the same with that. Like, we probably both do have that kind of drive in us, but we don't realize it because we've just had that for so long. You know what I mean? Like,
just do it. You don't think about it sometimes. You just do it. You know,
exactly.
It's just engraved in you just to do it.
Yeah,
you just don't bat an eyelid.
That's one thing that you have to like almost struggle when clients are like, "Oh, I just didn't do that day," and I'm like, "How?" Like, you need to. That's what you need to do if you want to get these results. That, you know, the goals that you've got set. Like, you can't just, "Oh, I just didn't do that day." Oh, I just missed that meal. Like, well, you need to be better. Like, that's one thing that I've always struggled with, is like trying to almost sympathize with clients and explain, like, look, this is why we need to be doing this. Like, because again, for me, like, I'd feel like shit. if I didn't do something, if I was like, I should have done that, it'd eat away at me. Like, well, I should have done my cardio this morning. I should have done it. I should have done it because I'm supposed to do it. You know what I mean? I planned it in my head that I do it, and I've not done it. I'd be pissed off at myself.
Yeah, I have the exact same problem. Like, even when clients do like 9,980 steps and the goal is 10,000, I think, mate, fucking walk 20 steps.
Yeah.
What's stopping you?
That's worse than doing like 5,000. It's like,
Yeah,
it was that close.
and I just fucking round it up, you know. I'd be, if I saw that and I'm thinking, right, I'm fucking walking up down the stairs to hit that, regardless of already hit it already, you know, without knowing. But I think we're in the same sort of page in that sense. So we're just engraved to do it. It's hard to find sympathy for people that don't, but it's fine. You know, it's fine for people to be like that because not everyone's the same, you know.
I think I always say it's sort of reflective of your goals. Like if that's like a general population client who just wants to feel a bit better, look a bit better, that's fine. Like, you know, and generally I'll have like ranges with targets and things like that. But when I have clients like, you know, I want to compete next year and I want to win shows, then you can't hit your steps. Like, you know, you got no chance. Someone like me and Reece always say, like with clients, like you'll just be outworked.
Yeah,
simple as that. Like you might be really, really good, but you'll still get outworked by someone who's probably not as good as you, but they'll beat you because you'll get outworked.
Agreed.
And that would be the worst fucking feeling ever. Imagine stepping on stage. Like, I just think the confidence, like walking on stage knowing you've not done everything. Fuck that. Like, if you lose a show but you've done everything, what's there to say?
Yeah, fair enough. Someone was better than you.
Yeah. Right, Finn. Do you want to go through your last few, and then
we'll wrap it up, mate. I've got quite a few still, but I'll just. Josh Croggan asked, "Are you natty?"
He always comes up to me if he sees me in Ultraflex. He always comes up to me and asks me.
You know Argon. Oh, George, you know Argon.
Oh, you fuck off.
George,
yeah, like a year ago, he wanted to join my coaching team. Wanted to be
mate, we've had the same. He's asked us if he can be a coach.
Very strange. He messages my partner and says something about a chest or something like that. Like, why would it's weird as fuck.
Argon's
fuck you.
Argon's mate, we won't be having that.
I've given up with him over the years. He can fucking suck a dick. Suck a dick. If you're listening or watching this right now, fucking suck my little dick.
Mate, he loves the podcast. He watches everything.
I know.
100% he is watching this.
I know.
He asked anyway. Let's answer his question. Is it normal to put more plates on a hack squat than a barbell squat, or vice versa?
Depends on the hack.
Depends on the hack.
Well, there you go. There you go, Argon. It depends on the hack. If it's a very vertical hack, then it's maybe going to be similar to a hack, to a barbell squat, sorry. But it depends on the level of skill that you have with a barbell squat. But if you're doing the Atlantis hack squat and then you're going, fucking hell, I'm doing more on this than a barbell back squat, that's weird. It's not weird. It's that you're basically lying down doing a squat. It's going to be a lot easier.
The weight is moving like 7 inches, like vertical. You know.
P.S. You're not going to be a coach for my my business. Stop asking me and asking everyone else by the sounds of it.
Danny_Regan, is getting a supplier / cost of steroids more of a stress than you thought it would be?
No.
When you've got the number, it's easy.
And you've got the number. It's Amazon Prime delivery, I tell you.
Simple as that. Reece, what about you? Reece just relies on Tom, don't you?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those. If you know the right people, then it's very, very easy.
What if you don't know the right people? What if Danny...
You shouldn't be on steroids? The classic. If you don't know where to get them, you shouldn't be on them, bro. But I actually do genuinely think that applies well to the vast majority. If you don't have the right connections and you don't know the people, you probably haven't almost earned the right to get to that. Unless you just train in your basement and you work at home and you've never gone outside, then you probably might not know where to get gear from. But
I agree. Yeah, it's very easy. It's very easy. I can get it straight like next day, straight, easy, and it's cheap as fuck. Proviron cost me £25 a month. Testy cost me 30, 35. I haven't even gone through. Long story, I haven't even gone through one vial yet. So yeah.
If you're on 150 megs, that's probably going to last you 20 weeks if it's 300 megs.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm literally probably 3/4 away the first one. Cheap as fuck. My supplements for my health about £175 a month. Easy on that. But the actual gear side of things.
Yeah. And then bloods are pretty much what, like probably once you're actually into the phase entirely, once every 8 to 12, and then at the start, like once every 4 to 6.
Yeah, luckily I work with the blood lab now, so I get it for free, which is quite nice. But I was originally paying 190 quid for the full blood panel screening, and that's every 3-4 months I'd do that. But yeah, the steroid side of things is easy to get hold of. Amazon Prime delivery and cheap as fuck. So cheap. Scary cheap sometimes when you think about it.
When you realise like
when you're buying,
quid.
Yeah. When you're buying these like supplements that do this from us, it's fucking bullshit. Absolute bullshit. It's crazy how much you can sell a supplement for and that does absolutely jack shit. But you get a vial test for like 30 quid and fucking I've doubled in size in the space of 6 weeks. It's fucking crazy. Scary.
Therefore, guys, jump on gear. George Osborne
2020.
Convince Finn to get on gear. Finn, after this podcast, are you now so tempted to
tempted to fulfill my potential, as I've been told? You'll never fulfill your potential, mate, if you don't jump on gear. Right. Well, I've still got a few more. George, are you pushed for time?
I've got a meal coming up, but I've got another 5-10 minutes. Yeah,
cool. Right, we can get through them in
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
We can do 5 minutes. This is from, I don't even know how to say his name. PVA Land. You know him, Reece, the guy from Evo Gym. Yeah. Sorry, mate. Next time I see you, tell me how to pronounce your Instagram name. Can we teach Reece how to maximize his potential in making Osborne style cream of rice?
That's really weird. That's really strange because I got a question. I didn't ask it, but it basically said, "Who makes the best cream of rice out of you guys?" And I was like, "Definitely not me."
Yeah, it's probably George, maybe George, and then me. I don't know. Mine's pretty good, to be fair. But I know George, like, he posts about it and milks it that it is his fucking class.
People are like, I need a cream of rice tutorial. I'm thinking, fuck me. Just put it in the microwave, put a bit of water in it, fucking stir.
Reece, honestly, Reece is horrendous at making it. But then he claims, "Oh no, I can do it. I like it like concrete." All right.
Fuck that.
No, it's not that. There's a multitude of reasons. I just don't really. I'm always doing something while I multitask, and I make like.
I multitask when I make mine.
No, and also I don't like it that voluminous. I like it the minimal amount of volume. And my microwave is like literally a fucking furnace. So it's either not cooked at all or fucking ruined. And I was gonna say a joke that I shouldn't have said about a furnace and burning things. I'm not gonna say it because I'd get cancelled of what I was about to say. It's a good thing I thought about it. Don't say that, Reece. We're gonna have to cut that part out. But
it's fine. Yeah. Right. Chris Brannigan, what's it like being a big fat cheat now? He put joke. Have you seen your training / recovery change? Kind of already covered that.
Yeah, I mean, recovery is pretty good. The only thing that I feel massively now is just like my joints. I said to myself when I first started, I was like, right, I'm going to be patient with the linear progressions. I'm going to, try and take my time with it. But when you're flying and things are like, right, I could easily add another plate aside on this, or you pick up dumbbells and they feel lighter than before. It's hard not to, especially because I love fucking training. It's hard not to get carried away with it, but sometimes I must admit I am feeling lower back starting to get a bit more pumped, elbows getting a little bit stiffer than what they were before. So, it's that's the only real difference I noticed. It's just my joints are a bit tender now than what they were before. But I've gone from one extreme to the other. I've gone from training like a bit of a fanny back end of prep, how it is, and then I've gone from hardcore looking at the logbook. I have to beat this every single session now. Not that I'm strong at all, but it's just my body's playing a bit of catch up, I reckon.
Last one for me. Although Miles Mason did ask a question, he basically put in the DMs, and it's just a picture of my arse from the story that I put on, the photo that I put on last night, and he just put how many pints. So basically, how many pints would you need to fuck me, lads?
3.
3. Quite a lot.
3. Quite a lot.
That's quite a lot. And then Max Fowler Fitness is the last one I've got. One for George. Keep one. Diesel or the missus.
Oh, you fucking cunt! Why you got to do that? I'd just have to die myself because I couldn't pick.
Really? You bottled that.
Yeah,
that's Diesel.
Let's end the podcast. He's bottled it.
I think Diesel. Nah, I couldn't answer that. That's too much. That's a shit question.
Definitely Diesel.
Definitely. Shout out Diesel.
Reece, Have you got any more?
Nah, we'll end it there. That's everything for my end. Right. That was a good one. George, did you enjoy it, mate?
Thank you. Absolute pleasure. Yeah, I think it was a good chat. We had a bit of seriousness, a bit of a laugh. And that's what I like about podcasts, and that's what I like about you boys, is that a lot of things that I listen to I can relate to as well. So I'm sitting there, or I'm on my walk with the dogs, and I'm just like having a little giggle about certain situations, or I can relate to it. And I think that's why the podcast does really well, is because a lot of people can relate to it, and there's some value in it, but there's also some entertainment, you boys being yourself. And that's what I really like about the podcast. So absolute pleasure to be on, boys, and thank you for having me.
Appreciate
awesome.
that, mate.
We'll definitely get you on when you're full blown off season, using more gear, becoming more of a gearhead, hairline like fucked and all that stuff, mate.
Hold on for it, dear life.
Oh no, yeah, just wait till you go to like 250 test and then you had a bit of pre-mile masting, mate. Jesus Christ. But no, it'll be good to see what you look like and how things are in this next phase. So again, appreciate your time. Finn, anything you want to leave us upon?
No, just appreciate you coming on and appreciate the kind words. That's kind of why we obviously why we do the podcast, why we started it, because we wanted to be like, right, we want to educate, but also just show people a bit more about our personality, which is like, I think a podcast, or even like with YouTube with you, mate, like you can put your personality out there a lot more than you can on just Instagram. So yeah. Appreciate it, mate.
Awesome. Yeah, no, right, well, we'll leave it there. Thanks to everybody for all the questions. Thanks for the story tags. Please tag George. So therefore, George will share. We'll all get more clout. Everybody wins. So what's not to love? Right. We'll leave it there. Catch you guys next week.